My 8-year-old little brother went to the fields to pick up rotten sweet potato roots, wanting to cook porridge for our lame father, but ended up being fined 20 yuan, and Dad wanted to sell him to exchange for my tuition. I was reborn and came back, and I exploded on the spot. In my previous life, my little brother died exactly because of this, and I never forgave myself for the rest of my life. This time, I slapped my textbook onto the desk and said, "I'm not going anymore. I'll support this family." The villagers laughed at me for being foolish, but I felt that in this life, I had finally understood how to live. Winter of 1980, Southern Jiangxi. I skipped school and walked hunched along the path between the fields, shivering from the cold, but I didn't stop. In my previous life, my dad, Zhang Jingguo, had his leg bitten off by a wild boar while cutting bamboo in the mountains around these very days. He didn't get treatment in time. The wound got infected and inflamed, and he was gone within half a month. At the time, I was sitting in a secondary vocational school classroom in the county town, and it was already a month later by the time I learned all this. That family began to fall apart when Dad died. My younger brother Zhang Yang went missing, my younger sister Zhang Xiaohua hanged herself, and Mom also passed away within 2 years. Although I finished secondary vocational school and got the iron rice bowl job everyone envied, the family was gone. What was the point of living like that? Heaven has given me a chance to start over, and I must change all of this. As I walked into the village, people greeted me all along the way. I was the only secondary vocational school student in this small village of a little over 20 households. In those days, being a secondary vocational school student meant that after graduation, you'd get a state-funded job. I pushed open the door. A mud brick house, a tiled roof, a fire pit burning inside. Dad was sitting there, his right leg wrapped in bandages and propped up on a stool. "Why are you back?" He instinctively tried to hide his leg behind him. "It's not vacation yet, is it? I'm not going to study anymore. The family is too poor, and my tuition was scraped together by Mom and Dad through extreme frugality. And now Dad's leg is injured. If this drags on, he could even lose his life. Secondary vocational school is valuable, but keeping this family together is more important than anything." Dad's face flushed red. "I worked so hard because I wanted you to make something of yourself." I pointed at his leg and said word by word, "You used to carry this family, but now that you're injured, it's my turn to carry it." "Carry it, my ass. I'm injured, not dead." Mom tried to persuade him from the side, but it was useless. My younger sister Xiaohua sat in the corner, lowering her head and poking the sparks in the fire pit with a twig. Just as we were at a stalemate, someone knocked on the door. Production team leader Su Jianjun came in, followed by Zhao Laosan, the only person in the village who had a grudge against us. He was clutching my little brother Zhang Yang by the collar. Zhang Yang went to the production team's fields to steal sweet potatoes and was caught by Zhao Laosan. Su Jianjun said, "There must be some mistake, right? My second child is very honest." Dad panicked. "In my previous life, I was at school today and had no idea this had happened. Could my little brother's abduction be related to today? In my previous life, every time I asked where my little brother had gone, Mom was vague and evasive. Now it seemed it wasn't that simple." Zhao Laosan let out a cold laugh and pulled out several thumb-thick sweet potato roots from Zhang Yang's pocket. "According to the rules, the fine is 40 yuan. 40 yuan. Dad's leg went weak. If I hadn't supported him, he would have collapsed on the spot. Mom grabbed a broom and started swinging it at my little brother. "You little jinx. I'll beat you to death." I quickly shielded my little brother behind me, and when the broom landed on me, it burned with pain. But today my little brother didn't say a word. He just stood there shedding tears. "Captain Su," I said through the pain, "the production team's sweet potatoes were all harvested last month. What's left in the fields are just sweet potato roots. Does that count as stealing too?" Su Jianjun glanced at my dad's leg and sighed. "Considering Zhang Yang is young and this is his first offense, let's make it 20. Zhao Laosan got anxious. "That's not in accordance with the rules." Su Jianjun ignored him. In truth, it wasn't a big deal for an 8-year-old child to dig up a few sweet potato roots from a field that had already been turned over. Under normal circumstances, even if he saw it, he would pretend not to. But unfortunately, Zhao Laosan, who has a grudge against us, happened to catch him and insisted on reporting it. As team captain, he could only follow the rules. I knew this was Zhao Laosan getting back at us. "I'll remember this score. We accept the fine," I said, "but my dad's leg injury still hasn't been treated. Could you give us a few more days? 10 days at the soonest, half a month at the latest." Su Jianjun agreed. Zhao Laosan left grinning like a chrysanthemum. After the door closed, Mom sighed. "Zhang Lei really can't keep going to school anymore." I wiped the tears from my brother's face and asked him why he had gone to dig up sweet potato roots. I saw Dad was injured, so I wanted to dig up some sweet potatoes to cook porridge for him. Sniffling, he said, "Brother, is it because of me that you can't go to school anymore? I know I was wrong. I'm sorry." He was only 8, yet so sensible it made your heart ache. My eyes grew moist, and I told him word by word, "You did nothing wrong. You did very well. I wasn't planning to continue school anyway. The one at fault is Zhao Laosan. He was deliberately making trouble for you. Time to eat." A small dish of moldy tofu, a bowl of stir-fried wild greens that had turned yellow-green after cooking, and a big basin of sweet potato porridge barely thicker than water. This was our family's lunch at the moment. I knew it was all because I was attending technical secondary school. People with rural household registration had to bring their own grain in exchange for grain coupons. Of the 80% coarse grain and 20% fine grain our family received last year, they gave half of it to me to take to school. In my previous life, I had still felt that I ate poorly at school. But looking at it now, it was practically delicacies from land and sea. "Mom, is this what you usually eat at home?" My younger brother rushed to answer. "This is already very good. We don't even get food in the morning. We just wait until noon to drink hot sweet potato porridge." My younger sister said, "Mom and Dad said the grain should be taken to school for Big Brother. Only if you eat your fill can you study well and give us a good life in the future." They thought things were pretty good now. As long as they could hold on until I graduated, the family would eventually get better. I nearly burst into tears. After lunch, I went back to my room to make my bed. I only came back once a week, but there wasn't a speck of dust on the edge of the bed. Mom cleaned it carefully every single time. I took my textbooks out of my school bag and put them on the desk by the window. And looking at the spot on the edge of the desk that had been worn smooth and shiny, my heart was filled with emotion. Since elementary school, I had known that only studying could change my fate. At school, aside from going to the bathroom, all I did was study. Whenever classmates asked me to hang out, I ignored them all. From elementary school to middle school to technical secondary school, I had basically no friends. My classmates all thought I was a bookworm. It was the same in the village. As soon as I got home, I shut myself in my room to study. The only one I could talk to was the village's famously foolish idiot. A bookworm and a fool. Neither of us minded the other. It wasn't until I got into technical secondary school that those classmates who had ignored me before, along with others my age in the village, all came around. I still kept them outside the door. Dealing with these people was just a waste of time. Now that Dad's leg was injured, those people would probably disappear without a trace very soon. Fine by me. Fewer people to bother me. Mom came in carrying a thick quilt and tried to persuade me to think it over again. I took the quilt from her and said as I spread it out, "Mom, you know my temperament. Once I've made up my mind, I won't change it. Technical secondary school is a road to the top, but it's not the only road." By evening, the sounds of stir-frying in the kitchen gradually died down. My younger brother followed me to carry out the dishes, and my younger sister pulled the square table over to the fire pit. Once it was completely dark, I lit the family's only kerosene lamp. And only then could we see the dishes on the table clearly. Scrambled eggs with garlic shoots, with bits of dried chili added, was the largest portion. There was also a small bowl of moldy tofu and the leftover wild greens from noon. The staple was still sweet potato porridge, though it was thicker than at noon. I knew Mom had added more rice because I was back. The eggs were sent over by Aunt Qian next door. "She heard you were back, so she brought over too," Mom said with a smile. Only after Dad picked up his chopsticks did we start eating too. The scrambled eggs with garlic shoots were quickly finished. After dinner and washing up, the three of us sat around the fire pit. Dad rubbed his leg and spoke first. "Go back to school early tomorrow morning." I said it already, I'm not going to school anymore. You go get your leg treated first. I'll figure out the tuition. Be good and go back tomorrow. I looked into Dad's eyes. I'm not worried about the tuition, I just don't want to go anymore. I want you to get your leg treated. If you don't go now, it'll be very dangerous. I wanted to say that I was reborn, that if your leg wasn't treated, you would die, but I couldn't say it. Mom held Dad's hand. "Old Zhang, our son has grown up. He feels sorry for you. Let's go get your leg treated tomorrow." Dad was silent for a long time, his face full of struggle. "Fine, I'll go get my leg treated, but Zhang Lei's schooling can't be delayed. Tomorrow call old Lu from the village entrance over and send the second one away." "Okay, I'll go first thing tomorrow morning," Mom answered through tears. In that moment, I understood everything. Why my younger brother disappeared in my previous life, and why after Dad passed away Mom still had money to support me through vocational school. So it turned out that the money for my schooling came from Dad selling my younger brother. I don't agree. Tears streamed down my face. In our family of 5, not a single one of us can be missing. I don't want this either, but what else can we do? Dad slapped his leg hard. "It takes money for your schooling, money for the fine, Money to treat my leg. Where am I supposed to get that much money? He viciously slapped himself across the face. It's all because I'm useless. I've wronged the second one. I've wronged this family. I wiped away my tears, looked into Dad's eyes, and said word by word, I'll find a way to get the money. You can get your leg treated without worry. I won't go to school, and I'll pay the fine. From now on, I'll carry this family. Dad yielded in silence. The next day, I woke up from the cold at the first light of dawn. There was a layer of straw spread on the wooden plank bed. The mattress was thin, and the damp quilt didn't keep out the cold. The fire pit had long gone out. Just as I was about to move things out and start a fire again, my younger brother Zhang Yang stood pitifully in the doorway. Brother, I couldn't sleep. He fidgeted with the corner of his clothes. I heard everything you said to Mom and Dad last night. If selling me means you can keep going to school and Dad's leg can be healed, I'm willing. He had meant to smile at me, but instead he burst into tears first. It's just, I hope in the future, brother, you can bring Mom and Dad and little sister to come see me. I pulled my younger brother tightly into my arms and stroked his head. Little brother, don't worry, you won't be sold. Dad is injured, but you still have your big brother. Dad's leg will be healed, and I'll work hard to earn money so our whole family can live a good life and never be separated for the rest of our lives. My younger brother asked muffledly in my arms, Really? Really? Mom came over and happily said she was taking Dad to the township clinic to get his leg treated. She had left lunch in the kitchen, and if they couldn't make it back by evening in time, she wanted me to cook. After seeing Mom and Dad off, I called my younger brother and sister over. Your brother is going into the mountains to work and earn money today. Will you two stay home and behave? Zhang Yang pounded his chest with a thump. Don't worry, brother. I'll take good care of little sister. Xiaohua refused to accept it. I don't need second brother to take care of me. I can manage by myself. I smiled, gave them a few more instructions, then slung the bamboo basket on my back and went out. Inside the bamboo basket were a sickle, a hoe, a bundle of white string, and 2 steamed sweet potatoes. A few days ago at school, I heard that the county purchasing station was buying winter bamboo shoots, so I planned to dig some up and haul them to the county town to sell. The shoots on the nearby mountains had probably already been dug up for the most part, so I had to go to Jigong Ridge 5 kilometers to the south, where few people ever went. There was another reason too. I wanted to verify a vague memory from my previous life. Just as I reached the village entrance, a voice came from behind me. Zhonglei, you're back? Zhonglei turned around, and only then realized it was Chun Dazhuang from the village calling out to him, also the best friend he had in the village. In the summer, Zhonglei often took him to the fields to fish for Kingguizi, but later Zhonglei got into the county vocational school, and the two gradually lost touch. I heard from old Zhao III that you came back and don't plan to continue studying. Is that true? Chun Dazhuang asked with a serious look. Zhonglei nodded and answered honestly. I'm not going to school anymore. My dad hurt his leg, so I have to come back and help. Without the slightest hesitation, Chun Dazhuang pulled a few crumpled bills from his jacket pocket and handed them over. Take this money. I've been saving it for a long time. Zhonglei took a rough look. It came to a little over 8 yuan in scattered small notes and coins. Although it wasn't much, he believed this really was money Chun Dazhuang had saved up for a long time. Because his family's situation wasn't good either. His mother had been bedridden for years, and his father wasn't nimble on his feet either. During the busy farming season, the whole family relied on Chun Dazhuang alone to earn work points, and by the end of the year, they hardly got much grain or money at all. Put this money away yourself. I can't take it. Zhonglei pushed the money back. Why won't you take it? Aren't you short of money right now? Chun Dazhuang got a little anxious. The people in the village all said Chun Dazhuang was simple and foolish, but Zhonglei felt he wasn't foolish at all. It was just that Chun Dazhuang's family situation wasn't any better than his own, so taking this money would weigh on his conscience. Dazhuang, I appreciate the thought. Zhonglei hitched up the bamboo basket on his back and looked toward the distant mountains. I'm planning to dig up some winter bamboo shoots at Jigong Ridge and haul them to the county to sell. I'll go too. Seeing that Zhonglei wouldn't take his money, Chun Dazhuang quickly responded, then deftly took the bamboo basket off Zhonglei and put it on himself. Your brain works better than mine, but you're definitely not stronger than me. Zhonglei didn't refuse and smiled as he lightly punched Chun Dazhuang in the chest. Then let's go together. I'll use my brains, and you'll supply the muscle. And once we've dug up more winter bamboo shoots and hauled them to the county town, we'll split the money 50-50. Hee. Chun Dazhuang laughed. The trip to Jigong Ridge wasn't exactly short, but with company, the walk felt a bit easier. The two chatted all the way, and before they knew it, they had reached the area of Jigong Ridge. Jigong Ridge wasn't a single mountain, but a continuous mountain range, or rather, it would be more appropriate to call it a forested mountain region. As for why it was called Jigong Ridge, no one knew. In earlier years, people still came to this area of Jigong Ridge to hunt and gather mountain goods. But after people started going missing in the mountains of Jigong Ridge, fewer and fewer people came, and later on there wasn't a single person at all. As for the stories about people disappearing in Jigong Ridge, there were all kinds of versions. Some said there was a strange village deep in Jigong Ridge, and as long as anyone who went up the mountain saw it, their soul would be lured away. Others said there was a tiger in the mountains of Jigong Ridge as tall as a two-story building, and that it ate everyone who went up the mountain. In short, all these rumors conveyed one message: Jigong Ridge was dangerous. Zhonglei, are we really going into Jigong Ridge today? Chen Dazhuang looked up at the towering mountain before them and swallowed. This Jigong Ridge is kind of eerie. Scared? If you're scared, go back. I'll go up by myself. Seeing this, Zhonglei reached out, wanting to take the bamboo basket back from Chen Dazhuang's back. Who's scared? I'm not scared at all. Chen Dazhuang dodged Zhonglei's hand with a quick sidestep and took the lead up the mountain. Zhonglei smiled and followed behind. There were many paths up the mountain, but the one Zhonglei chose was the one from his memories of his previous life. It was relatively hidden, and the road was easier to walk. Before long, as they passed a thicket, Zhonglei stopped Chen Dazhuang. Because Zhonglei saw that on the Jishua mountain beside the thicket, there were little plum blossom-shaped marks. Then he took out a sickle and white string from Chen Dazhuang's bamboo basket and began to busy himself. Before long, a simple slipknot trap was finished. To increase the success rate, Zhonglei also scattered a little of the sweet potatoes he had brought on top. Zhonglei, I didn't expect you to know how to make traps. Are you trying to catch wild rabbits? A trace of curiosity flashed through Chen Dazhuang's eyes. Although they lived in the countryside, not everyone knew the craft of making slipknot traps for hunting in the mountains. We've come all the way out here. We can't just dig winter bamboo shoots, can we? Zhonglei put the sickle and the remaining white string back into Chen Dazhuang's bamboo basket. Let's go. There's still some distance to the bamboo grove ahead. In his memory, no one had come to Jigong Ridge in these past few years, and the resources on the mountain were extremely abundant. And wild rabbits were animals that reproduced very quickly. So before coming, he had planned to set up some slipknot traps and place them along paths frequented by wild rabbits. The county purchasing station also wanted wild rabbit pelts that were in relatively good condition, and the price was said to be even a bit higher than that of winter bamboo shoots. But if you wanted to sell rabbit meat, you could only go to the county's black market. What Zhonglei lacked most right now was money, so it was always good to increase the haul a bit on a trip up the mountain. The two continued toward the bamboo grove halfway up the mountain. And along the way Zhonglei made quite a few more slipknot traps, stopping only after he had used up all the white string he had brought. After the two arrived at the bamboo grove halfway up the mountain, with a simple glance, Zhonglei spotted quite a few little snow mounds. He knew this was caused by winter bamboo shoots about to poke through, pushing the snow upward. Here in southern Jiangxi, mozo bamboo was the most common thing in the mountains, and winter bamboo shoots were the young shoots of mozo bamboo. Freshly dug winter bamboo shoots sliced up, together with the local cured pork, plus some garlic shoots and dried chili peppers, were unbelievably fragrant. Besides that, any winter bamboo shoots they couldn't finish could be cut into long strips, steamed until soft, and dried to make dried winter bamboo shoots, which were also exceptionally delicious for soup. Zhonglei hadn't eaten anything from the time he got up until now today, so to replenish some energy, he took out the 2 sweet potatoes he had brought from home from the bamboo basket and handed one to Chen Dazhuang. After the two finished the sweet potatoes in their hands, they finally began to work. Digging winter bamboo shoots was a technical job. It wasn't just a matter of seeing a bulge somewhere, swinging the hoe, and hacking downward. If you used brute force to dig winter bamboo shoots, not only would it consume a great deal of energy, but it was also very easy to break off the tip of the shoot. It was fine if you were eating it yourself, but if you took it to sell, no one would want it if it looked that bad. In his previous life, Zhonglei had often gone up the mountain to dig winter bamboo shoots, so it wasn't difficult for him. Zhonglei first used the hoe to clear away the snow and withered yellow bamboo leaves on top of the bulge, confirming that there was a winter bamboo shoot underneath. Then he used the hoe to clear away all the soil around the bulge until most of the winter bamboo shoot was exposed, and only then did he suddenly swing the hoe hard. And with one dig and one pry, he unearthed a fairly large bamboo shoot. Because they had brought only one hoe, Chen Dazhuang voluntarily asked to use the other sickle to dig winter bamboo shoots. And relying on his great strength and good technique, he quickly made some gains as well. Soon, The bamboo basket was full of winter bamboo shoots, and many pits of various sizes had appeared around them. But there was no need to worry that these leftover pits would cause a landslide. Mozo bamboo had a well-developed root system, so these pits didn't amount to anything at all, and melting snow or a single heavy rain would be enough to smooth them over. An hour later, Chen Dazhuang wiped the fine sweat beading on his forehead, grabbed a handful of cleaner snow from beside him, and stuffed it into his mouth, eating it in big bites. Winter was the season when their village had the longest slack farming period, so naturally work points were even harder to earn. To keep themselves alive, they generally only had 2 meals a day in winter and did not eat in the morning. Although Zhang Lei had just given him a sweet potato to stave off hunger, after all that work just now, the little bit of food in his stomach had long since been digested. Zhang Lei, it's about time for us to head down the mountain, right? It's still early. No rush. After Zhang Lei used dead leaves to hide the bamboo basket and sickle and marked the spot, he continued walking up the mountain. Zhang Lei, what are you doing? Just come with me. As the two of them continued up the mountain, the path became increasingly steep and narrow. After walking upward for who knew how long, Zhang Lei, who was in front, finally stopped. Chen Dazhuang took a few quick steps to Zhang Lei's side, and just as he was about to ask a question, he saw on the mountainside opposite an ancient-looking stockade. Zhang Lei, that's the soul-stealing stockade, right? Chen Dazhuang shrank back behind Zhang Lei a little, somewhat nervous. Chen Dazhuang, you're a big, burly guy, but your courage is really small, Zhang Lei said with some amusement. My name is Chen Dazhuang, not Chen Daden. All right, let's go. After the memories of his previous life were confirmed, Zhang Lei was in a good mood and took the lead in walking toward the place where the bamboo basket was hidden. Wait for me. Chen Dazhuang glanced at the stockade with lingering fear, then hurriedly followed behind Zhang Lei. When they returned to that bamboo grove, Chen Dazhuang took the initiative to shoulder the bamboo basket, while Zhang Lei was responsible for carrying the sickle and hoe. On the way down the mountain, Zhang Lei checked the traps he had set along the way, but there was no sign of any wild rabbits. Just as he was feeling a little disappointed, not far away beside some bushes, a wild rabbit with one hind leg hoisted up was struggling non-stop in the trap he had set. Grabbing the gray rabbit by the ears, Zhang Lei used the sickle to cut the white string tied around its hind leg, and estimated that this wild rabbit weighed more than 4 jin. But aside from this trap, catching a rabbit, none of the other slipknot traps showed any activity all the way down to the foot of the mountain. After leaving the bounds of Jigong Ridge, seeing that it was still early, Zhang Lei and Chen Dazhuang headed west toward the county town. As for the rabbit, Zhang Lei had killed it and hung it from the back of his waist. In the south, there are many mountains and few roads. If you go from the village to the county town, you first have to go 5 kilometers north to Yang Commune, then 10 kilometers west to reach the county town, making the round trip at least 30 kilometers. But this time, Zhang Lei set out from the southern side of Jigong Ridge and took another route. It was a bit shorter, but it still took more than 2 hours to reach the county town. The entrance to the county town that Zhang Lei and the others took was an ancient city gate. There was still a gate tower on top, but it had already been abandoned, and on both sides were dilapidated city walls. It was said that people had previously dug up quite a few copper coins from within these city walls, and because of that, the walls had become even more severely damaged, which was somewhat regrettable. Dazhuang, let's first go to the purchasing station and sell the winter bamboo shoots. Then we'll buy some things afterward. Okay. Chen Dazhuang nodded. He also wanted to know how much money the winter bamboo shoots in the basket on his back could sell for. Zhang Lei had stayed in the county town for nearly half a year, so he was more familiar with it than Chen Dazhuang. He led Chen Dazhuang toward the southern part of town, where the purchasing station was located. Although it wasn't snowing today, the cold wind still cut to the bone. At the entrance of the purchasing station, Zhang Lei and Chen Dazhuang stamped the snow off their shoes before walking inside. Behind the counter, a middle-aged man wearing a Zhongshan suit, with his hair parted 3/7, was leisurely reading a newspaper, while the charcoal in the nearby stove burned with a vigorous crackle. Comrade, I'd like to ask, are you buying winter bamboo shoots here now? Zhang Lei took a relatively good-looking winter bamboo shoot out of Chen Dazhuang's bamboo basket and placed it on the ground. Buyer Yang Aijuan looked Zhang Lei up and down, then slowly folded the newspaper and stood up, nudging the winter bamboo shoot on the ground with his foot. Where did you get this? There weren't many people selling things to the purchasing station in winter. Everyone worked in shifts. Now that someone had come to sell something, he didn't seem particularly cold. But regarding the source of the purchased goods, he still had to ask as usual. People had brought stolen items to their purchasing station before to fence them, and later the rightful owners came looking for them, which made things very troublesome. He needed performance results, but he was also afraid of trouble. Just dug up from the mountain. Zhang Lei raised the hoe in his hand and answered honestly. Yang Aijun nodded, then picked up the winter bamboo shoot and examined it in his hand. Seeing that the quality was good, he pointed at the bamboo basket on Chun Dazhuang's shoulder. Are you selling all of these? All of them. Zhang Lei nodded. After hesitating for a moment, Yang Aijun slowly said, the purchasing price for winter bamboo shoots is 0.2 yuan per jean, but yours are good quality, so I'll give you 0.25 yuan per jean. How about it? Okay. Zhang Lei thought the price was about right and nodded. Seeing this, Chen Dazhuang took down all the winter bamboo shoots from his shoulder and then placed them on the platform scale nearby. 73 jean at 0.25 yuan per jean comes to a total of 18.22 yuan. Zhang Lei took the money and continued asking, will you still be buying these winter bamboo shoots in the next few days? If the quality is still like this, we'll keep buying them here. Yang Aijun smiled. Winter bamboo shoots of this quality are quite good. Once I report it to the higher-ups, they'll soon be taken away by the county's state-owned units. After pocketing the money, Zhang Lei had just been about to pull Chun Dazhuang away when Yang Aijun called out to him from behind. Don't waste that wild rabbit pelt at your lower back. If you come again in a couple of days, you can bring it over after processing it. If its condition hasn't been damaged, I'll count it as 3 yuan for you. All right, next time I come, I'll bring this wild rabbit pelt along too. Zhang Lei replied with a smile. Chen Dazhuang was a little excited. He hadn't expected that bringing winter bamboo shoots to the county town to sell could fetch so much money, and even a wild rabbit pelt could sell for 3 yuan apiece. Many money-making opportunities that people in later generations might think of as easy were unknown to many people in that era. That's what's called an information gap. For example, Zhang Lei knew that digging up winter bamboo shoots could earn money by selling them to the county purchasing station, but Chen Dazhuang didn't. There were countless examples like this. It's hard for people to make money beyond what they know. After the two left the supply and marketing cooperative, Zhang Lei led Chun Dazhuang to the entrance of the county department store. We haven't sold the wild rabbits yet, so let's not split that for now, but you heard it just now about this basket of winter bamboo shoots. We sold them together for 18.25 yuan, so I'll give you 9.12 yuan. Is it okay if I take advantage of you by 1 cent? Zhang Lei pulled some banknotes from his pocket, counted out half, and handed them over. Zhang Lei, you keep this money and use it first. I heard your younger brother was reported by Zhao Lao San and has to pay a 20 yuan fine. Chen Dazhuang pushed the money back. One thing is one thing. We agreed before we came that the money from digging winter bamboo shoots would be split equally. With a serious expression, Zhang Lei pushed the money back again. Although digging winter bamboo shoots today had been his own idea, if it came to who had put in the most effort, it was definitely Dazhuang, who had carried more than 70 jean of winter bamboo shoots for over 2 hours to the county town in the dead of winter. He had already gotten the better end of the deal. Seeing that Chun Dazhuang still wouldn't take the money, Zhang Lei said sternly, Dazhuang, if you don't take the money, then don't work with me anymore in the future. Zhang Lei knew that Dazhuang regarded him as a good brother, which was why he was willing to work hard without asking for anything in return. But precisely because of that, Zhang Lei had to make him accept this half of the money. Just keep this money for me for now. When there's a bit more money, I'll ask you for it. Chen Dazhuang smiled. All right, then I'll keep it with me for now. I'll keep track of it for you, and you should remember the amount too. Seeing that Chen Dazhuang absolutely refused to take it, Zhang Lei thought he might as well use the money to buy some tools for making money first, and then give Dazhuang the full amount at once after earning more. After making up his mind, Zhang Lei handed over the hoe and sickle at hand, slung the bamboo basket onto his own back, and said, you watch the tools here. I'll go inside to buy a few things and be right out. There were people guarding the entrance of the department store, and sickles and hoes were not allowed inside, so Chen Dazhuang could only stand at the door and watch them. After going in, Zhang Lei went to the grocery section and bought some milk candies, 2 pairs of children's gloves, a flashlight, and several spare batteries. Of the more than 18 yuan he had on him, only a little over 2 yuan was left. But Zhang Lei didn't feel bad about it. Money, after all, is meant to be spent. There was a curtain blocking the entrance of the department store. Inside, there was heating and many people, so it was very warm after staying there for a while. But once you came out, it was different. The wind made it bitterly cold. Dazhuang, go inside and buy something for your family. I'll watch the tools. Zhang Lei rubbed his hands, feeling a bit cold. I don't have anything to buy. Chen Dazhuang shook his head. Really nothing? Zhang Lei asked again. Nothing. Chen Dazhuang waved his hand. Seeing that the sun was about to set, Zhang Lei had no choice but to say, Since there's nothing to buy, let's head back. Chen Dazhuang put the sickle and hoe in the basket and took it off Zhang Lei's shoulder. Zhang Lei had actually wanted to carry the bamboo basket himself. After all, Dazhuang had carried it on the way there. But he couldn't argue with Dazhuang's stubborn earnestness, and it was still snatched away by him. Zhang Lei could only feel a bit helpless about it. Although the two of them deliberately quickened their pace, they still had to walk for more than an hour in the dark before returning to the village. Fortunately, they had the newly bought flashlight, so no accident occurred. Zhang Lei led Chen Dazhuang to the doorstep and found candlelight glowing in the kitchen on the left, with the crackling sound of stir-frying coming from inside. He knew his mother, Li Xiuyan, had returned. Zhang Lei went to the kitchen and handed the wild rabbit to his mother, Li Xiuyan. Mom, cook this wild rabbit tonight as an extra dish. Remember to set aside half and send it to Chen Dazhuang's family later. Leave the skin intact for me. It can be sold for money. Hello, Auntie. Chen Dazhuang smiled. All right, later let Dazhuang eat with us too. Li Xiuyan smiled as she took it and began busily working. Before Zhang Lei failed to get into technical secondary school, Chen Dazhuang often came over to play with Zhang Lei, so Li Xiuyan was quite familiar with him. Looking at the wild rabbit in front of her, she guessed that the reason the two of them came back so late was that they had gone into the mountains to catch wild rabbits. The two of them came out of the kitchen, saw that the front door was ajar, and pushed it open to go inside. His father Zhang Jingguo, along with his younger brother and sister, were sitting by the fire pit warming themselves. Dad, I'm back. What did you do today to come back only after dark? Oh, Dazhuang is here too? Come over and warm yourself by the fire. You can have a meal with us in a bit. After going to the township clinic today to treat his injured right leg, Zhang Jingguo was clearly in much better spirits and spoke with a strong, full voice. Hello, uncle. Chen Dazhuang nodded and smiled. His younger brother Zhang Yang was a bit more outgoing. He got up and jogged over to the thermos nearby to pour a cup of water. Brother Dazhuang, have some water. As for his younger sister Zhang Xiaohua, seeing an outsider come to the house made her a little shy, and she hid slightly behind her father Zhang Jingguo. Thanks, Zhang Yang. This is for you. Chen Dazhuang took the enamel mug and grabbed a big handful of milk candies from his pocket and handed them over. These milk candies were what Chen Dazhuang had asked Zhang Lei for when they had just reached the entrance of the village. At the time, Zhang Lei thought Dazhuang was a bit greedy and wanted some milk candy for himself. Only now did he realize it was prepared for his younger brother and sister. Everyone said Dazhuang was slow and foolish, but Zhang Lei felt that he was actually quite thoughtful. The milk candy was very tempting, but Zhang Yang did not take it. Instead, he turned to look at his father, Zhang Jingguo. Take it. Remember to thank him. Zhang Jingguo patted the top of Zhang Yang's head. Thank you, brother Dazhuang. Seeing that his father agreed, Zhang Yang finally smiled and took all the milk candy. But he did not put it all into his own pocket. Instead, he took out half and handed it to his younger sister beside him. Xiaohua, let's split it equally. Thank you, second brother. From the moment Chen Dazhuang took out the milk candy, Zhang Xiaohua's eyes had been drawn to it. Now that she had gotten some candy, she could not wait to peel one and put it into her mouth, slowly savoring it. It's so sweet. I still have more here. Keep it safe yourself. Zhang Lei took out all the milk candy from the back basket and gave it to his younger brother and sister. Don't eat too much, or worms will eat your teeth. Thank you, big brother. So much milk candy. The two little ones were overjoyed to see that their big brother had bought them so much milk candy. Zhang Lei then took out 2 brand new pairs of children's gloves from his pocket and put them on them. Children's hands are more delicate than adults to begin with, and as soon as the weather turns a little cold, they are prone to chilblains. His younger brother Zhang Yang and younger sister Zhang Xiaohua both had several chilblains on their hands, and it really pained Zhang Lei to see it. Thank you, big brother. The second and third child were quite in sync. Hugging Zhang Lei by the neck, they each gave him a kiss on the cheek, one on each side, then ran off to the room with their milk candy in their arms. After walking the night road for more than an hour, both Zhang Lei and Chen Dazhuang were a little cold. After putting their things aside, they also sat down around the fire pit and chatted idly, their bodies gradually warming up quite a bit. During this time, Li Xiuyan bustled back and forth between the kitchen and the main room, and several steaming hot dishes slowly appeared on the square table nearby. She made the rabbit offal into a spicy mixed rabbit offal dish, while the rabbit meat was chopped into pieces and stewed into soup with a bit of carrot added. There was also, as always, an unchanging small dish of fermented tofu, along with an added stir-fried potato slices dish. The staple food was still sweet potato porridge, with several sets of bowls and chopsticks placed beside it. Once everything was ready, Li Xiuyan called out toward the fire pit. Time to eat. Although Zhang Jingguo had injured his leg, Zhang Lei still helped him to the seat of honor by the square table and sat beside him. He then invited Chen Dazhuang to sit on his other side. Their mother, Li Xiuyan, picked up some food in her bowl and led the second and third child to move small stools and sit by the fire pit to eat. In the rural areas of southern Jiangxi, when guests come to the house, women and children do not sit at the table. You went up the mountain to catch wild rabbits today, didn't you? Zhang Jingguo put a piece of rabbit meat into his mouth, his face full of smiles. In the bitter cold of winter, they had been eating wild vegetables every day before, without even a trace of meat. Since his son Zhang Lei came back, the food had been getting better and better, and life had become more and more hopeful. Seeing his father ask, Zhang Lei roughly described what he and Chen Dazhuang had done that day, but he did not say that the two of them had gone to the Jigong Ridge area, for fear that his father Zhang Jingguo would worry. Zhang Jingguo was very gratified. His eldest son Zhang Lei had become much more sensible and knew to find ways to bring things home for the family. It was just a pity that he was no longer studying. You really are quite capable, but you must pay attention to safety. Zhang Jingguo gave him a few words of advice. I know, Dad, don't worry, Zhang Lei said with a smile and nodded, then asked, Today Mom took you to the township clinic to treat your leg. What did the doctor say? At the mention of this, Zhang Jingguo felt a bit distressed. Actually, I feel like there was no need to go to the clinic at all. The doctor just changed the dressing on the wound and gave me some oral medicine, and it ended up costing several yuan. Dad, don't be reluctant to spend money on medical treatment. Now that I'm back, I'll find a way to make money. Zhang Lei replied seriously. Let's not talk about that anymore, eat. Zhang Jingguo waved his hand. Seeing Dazhuang constantly picking wild vegetables into his bowl, he smiled and gave him several pieces of rabbit meat. Dazhuang, don't be shy, eat more meat. This wild rabbit tastes pretty good. Dazhuang, you really should eat more. When we went up the mountain today, you were the one who put in the most effort. Zhang Lei said with a smile, echoing him. After we finish eating, get a good rest tonight. Tomorrow morning, we'll keep going up the mountain to dig winter bamboo shoots. Okay, then I'll come over early tomorrow morning. Chen Dazhuang took a sip of porridge and nodded seriously. Right now, all he could think about was going up the mountain with Zhang Lei tomorrow to dig more winter bamboo shoots and sell them for money in the county. Chen Dazhuang also hadn't had any meat for quite a few days, so he truly enjoyed tonight's meal. Following Zhang Lei, and on the very first day, I already get to eat this well. The days ahead are hard to imagine. Brother Lei, I'm full. After Chen Dazhuang finished eating, he was ready to leave. Li Xiuyan hurriedly stopped him, then brought over a large bowl of rabbit meat that had been kept warm on the stove and handed it to him. Dazhuang, take this rabbit meat back and let your parents have a taste too. Thank you, Aunt Li. Chen Dazhuang held back his excitement as he carried the bowl of rabbit meat back. Silly child, what are you thanking me for? We're all neighbors. Li Xiuyan smiled. Everyone in the village looked down on Chen Dazhuang, but since her own son acknowledged Chen Dazhuang as a friend, as his mother, she naturally had to treat him politely, and she felt that Chen Dazhuang only looked a bit slow. But he wasn't stupid. Brother Lei, then I'll head back first. I'll come over early tomorrow. After saying that, Chen Dazhuang carried the still warm rabbit meat home. He was afraid that if he dawdled any longer, the rabbit meat would get cold. Their village had roads leading in all directions, and the houses basically all faced south with their backs to the north. Aside from the houses of real brothers being built right next to each other, there was usually a small alley wide enough for a person to pass between the other houses. And Chen Dazhuang's home happened to be to the left rear of Zhang Lei's house. It was there after passing through two small alleys. The layout of Chen Dazhuang's home was basically the same as Zhang Lei's, except that the damage to the front gate was even more severe than at Zhang Lei's house. The roof over the pig pen on the right was also somewhat damaged. Seeing that the main room was pitch black, Chen Dazhuang carefully pushed open the front gate and walked inside, afraid of disturbing his parents' rest. Dazhuang, you're back? An aged voice came from beside the fire pit in the main room. Dad, why didn't you light a lamp? Chen Dazhuang was startled. He used a branch to poke at the fire pit. As the firewood inside began to burn more strongly, the main room became a little brighter too. I'm the only one in the main room, so lighting a kerosene lamp would be a bit wasteful. The figure of his father, Chen Zhenhua, gradually came into view as well. Unlike Chen Dazhuang, years of labor had already left Chen Zhenhua somewhat hunched, his head full of white hair, and he was wearing an old padded cotton jacket covered with patches. Dad, look what this is. Chen Dazhuang brought the bowl of rabbit meat he was holding up in front of his father, Chen Zhenhua. Good lad, where did you get rabbit meat from? In the middle of winter like this, wild rabbits aren't easy to catch. When Chen Jinhua saw the fragrant rabbit meat, he was stunned for a moment. Seeing this, Chen Dazhuang told him everything he had done with Zhang Lei today in full detail, without hiding anything. You mean you're now working with Zhang Lei to earn money? Chen Dazhuang nodded honestly. Zhang Lei is truly filial, willing to give up school and a secure job just to come back and help support the family. Chen Jinhua sighed and patted his son's head. Dazhuang, no one in the village thinks highly of you, and no one thinks highly of our family either. This kid Zhang Lei doesn't look down on you, and is willing to take you along to make money. You must take the lead and do more of the work. When you earn money, let Zhang Lei take more and you take less. Don't think you're at a loss. This kid Zhang Lei is your benefactor. At this moment, the mother Wu Shufang's voice also came from the bedroom inside. Dazhuang, your father is right. Not only that kid Zhang Lei, but your Aunt Li is also a very good person. Otherwise, she wouldn't have let you bring rabbit meat to our family. From now on, remember to be polite to Zhang Lei's family too. Remember their kindness. Only sincerity can be exchanged for sincerity. Wu Shufang wiped the corner of her eyes on the bed. Dazhuang, it's because your father and I are useless that we haven't given you a proper home. Mom and Dad, don't say that. Without you, there would be no me, Chen Dazhuang. I'll remember everything you've said. Chen Dazhuang divided the rabbit meat in the bowl into 2 portions, giving one bowl to his father Chen Jinhua, while carrying the other to his mother Wu Shufang's bedroom and feeding it to her little by little with a spoon. Wu Shufang had been paralyzed in the lower body for many years. The family's circumstances had also been poor these past years, and they often couldn't get any meat. She had grown terribly thin, and now, smelling the aroma of the rabbit meat, it didn't take long for her to finish the whole bowl of rabbit meat. Mom, tomorrow I'll go out to work with Brother Lei, and when I come back, I'll get you some more wild rabbit to eat. Seeing this, Chen Dazhuang also felt a little happy inside. Silly boy, it's the middle of winter, and it's snowing too. How could wild rabbits be so easy to catch? When you go work with that boy Zhang Lei, you must pay attention to safety. Wu Shufang reminded him with a smile. The Chen family had only one son in each generation. If anything happened to Chen Dazhuang, the sky would fall for the Chen family. Mom, don't worry. Following Brother Lei, I'll definitely pay attention to safety. Brother Lei knows how to make live traps, so it's easy to catch wild rabbits. Chen Dazhuang grinned. All right, Mom is a little tired. You should go back to your room and rest early too. Wu Shufang waved her hand, then slowly lay down. It had been too long since she had eaten any meat, and suddenly eating half a bowl of rabbit meat made her feel a little uncomfortable. Seeing this, Chen Dazhuang tiptoed outside the door. Chen Jinhua was still eating the rabbit meat in his bowl. When he saw Chen Dazhuang come out, he asked softly, "Your mother has gone to sleep?" She's asleep." Chen Dazhuang nodded, then washed up and lay down on the bed and fell asleep. Early the next morning, Zhang Lei and Chen Dazhuang took their tools up the mountain to dig winter bamboo shoots. In less than a morning, the two of them had once again filled their bamboo baskets with winter bamboo shoots. Right after that, they went to the purchasing station again, and this time they still ran into Yang Aijuan. The winter bamboo shoots in their baskets, and that wild rabbit pelt sold for more than 20 yuan altogether. This made the two of them overjoyed, and as soon as they came out of the purchasing station, they headed straight for the department store. Despite Chen Dazhuang's refusal, Zhang Lei still bought him 2 pairs of rubber shoes, the kind with a bit of fleece lining inside. The rubber shoes Zhang Lei was wearing on his feet were bought by his father when he went to study in the county, and they were still fairly new, so he didn't buy himself new shoes. For him, the more money he could save now, the better, so he could gather the fine for his younger brother Zhang Yang sooner. After paying, Zhang Lei handed over the new shoes in his hand. Put these new shoes on. Chen Dazhuang had just wanted to say he'd change into them when they got back, but when he saw the look in Zhang Lei's eyes that brooked no refusal, he could only obediently change into the new shoes. As for Zhang Lei, he threw his old pair of shoes into the trash can. Brother Lei, don't throw them away, those shoes can still be worn. Chen Dazhuang felt a bit pained. Zhang Lei pulled Dazhuang into a corner and said seriously, "Dazhuang, we're starting to make money now. Don't feel bad over a pair of shoes so worn out they can't be more worn out. We'll make even more money in the future, understand?" Chen Dazhuang nodded as if he half understood. Zhang Lei was a reborn person, with an innate advantage when it came to making money. If he wanted Dazhuang to become his right-hand man, then there were some ideas he needed to instill in Chen Dazhuang in advance. After the two left the department store, they walked to an unoccupied corner, and then took out all the money they had earned over the past 2 days. "Dazhuang, aside from the 2 pairs of rubber shoes we just bought, from today's winter bamboo shoots, and that wild rabbit pelt, We still have 23 yuan and 8 mao left. Your share is 11 yuan and 9 mao. The money from selling winter bamboo shoots yesterday was originally supposed to be split, so you'd get 9 yuan and 1 mao, but you didn't want it. So I bought tools and milk candy, and there are 2 yuan left. Take 1 yuan as your share. After settling the accounts, Zhang Lei counted out 12 yuan and 9 mao from it and handed it over. Brother Lei, I only provided the labor. You came up with the idea, and you took the lead in doing the work. In the future, when we make money, you take the bigger share, and I'll take the smaller share. Chen Dazhuang pulled a 2 yuan bill from the pile of banknotes. This was also my dad's intention. I'm already very grateful that you're willing to take me along to make money. All right then, let's do it this way for now. Zhang Lei knew that Chen Dazhuang listened most to his father, and that Chen Dazhuang wouldn't accept this money today. But Zhang Lei quietly made up his mind that after making money in the future, he would turn Chen Dazhuang's share into supplies and deliver them to the Chen family. At this moment, Zhang Lei already had savings of 23 yuan and 8 mao in his pocket, just enough to repay his younger brother Zhang Yang's fine. Dazhuang, I'll take you to a good place. Zhang Lei looked at the 5 jin of table salt in the basket on his back, and a trace of anticipation flashed in his eyes. Okay, Brother Lei. Without asking where they were going, Chen Dazhuang gave a simple, silly grin, hoisted the bamboo basket onto his back, and followed behind Zhang Lei. The new shoes on his feet left one cheerful footprint after another on the snowy ground. After leading Chen Dazhuang out of the county town, Zhang Lei did not head straight back to the village. Instead, he made for Jigong Ridge, taking out the sweet potatoes and potatoes from the inner line pocket as they hurried along and eating them to stave off hunger. After spending 2 hours reaching the area of Jigong Ridge, Zhang Lei did not take the same route up the mountain as last time, but made a wide detour and took another path. Although Chen Dazhuang was somewhat puzzled that after returning to Jigong Ridge, Zhang Lei wasn't first taking him to retrieve the tools for digging winter bamboo shoots that had been left on the mountain, and instead kept leading him up the mountain. He still stayed close behind Zhang Lei. Zhang Lei crossed several hilltops ahead before finally stopping. Only then did Chen Dazhuang, who had been hurrying along with his head down behind him, see clearly the scene before him, and his legs immediately went weak, and he almost sat down. Brother Lei, is that the village from the legend that steals souls up ahead? Why did you bring me here again? Chen Dazhuang asked in a trembling voice. It's a village, but it doesn't steal souls. Don't be afraid, come with me. Zhang Lei patted Chen Dazhuang's arm and took the lead in walking into this ancient-looking village. Chen Dazhuang gritted his teeth and hurried to follow. Brother Lei, wait for me. From the outside, this village looked oval-shaped, and all around it was enclosed by wooden logs more than 2 meters high. The tops of the wooden stakes had all been sharpened to points as well, and through the crack in the gate, they could vaguely see someone inside. Anyone there? Zhang Lei cupped his hands around his mouth and shouted loudly toward the gate. Very soon, a commotion came from inside the village, and the gate slowly opened. A middle-aged man wearing a headscarf, a padded cotton coat, and a firewood cutting knife tucked at his waist walked out. Who are you looking for? The middle-aged man asked in clumsy Chinese, watching the 2 strangers approaching the village with vigilance. My name is Zhang Lei, and his name is Chen Dazhuang. We came into the mountains to dig some winter bamboo shoots to help support our family. It's too cold outside. Could we go in and rest for a bit? Zhang Lei took a packet of salt from Chen Dazhuang's back basket and handed it over. This is just a small token of our goodwill. My name is Lei Ao. When Lei Ao took it and realized it was a packet of salt, he immediately became a little excited. He placed his right hand over his heart and bowed to Zhang Lei. Zhang Lei and Chen Dazhuang imitatively copied Lei Ao and made the same gesture. According to the fragmentary memories from Zhang Lei's previous life, this village was not some eerie ancient village that could steal people's souls, but a Shi ethnic village. It was said that before the founding of the country, the older generation of Shi people in this village had lived by robbery. And after the founding of the country, quite a few clan members were executed, while the remaining people hid deep in these mountains and built this village, raising goats and growing rice to be self-sufficient. Although several decades had passed, the Shi people were still isolated from the outside world because they feared execution and transportation was inconvenient. Some basic supplies had also become what they lacked most, with edible salt ranking first. The beginning of this ancient village's mysterious veil being lifted was that, in his previous life, an herb gatherer had stumbled into this village by accident and traded 5 jin of salt for a mountain goat. Zhang Lei was merely cutting off that herb gatherer's lucky break from his previous life. The last time he came to Jigong Ridge to dig winter bamboo shoots was all in preparation for today. Friends, come in quickly. Lei Ao smiled and stepped aside, gesturing for the two to enter the village. Zhang Lei thanked him and walked in first, while Chun Dazhuang followed behind somewhat nervously. After entering the village, they discovered it was a world unto itself. Everywhere were stilt houses made of mozo bamboo and wood, with windows. The roofs were covered with golden straw. Under the stilt houses were several wooden supports as thick as bowls, and beside them were steps made of mozo bamboo for convenient access into the houses. In the open space of the village, several she children were laughing and playing, but after seeing the two strangers, Zhang Lei and Qin Dazhuang, they took off running and dashed up into the stilt houses, disappearing from sight. Lei Ao led the two into the largest stilt house in the village. Not far from the entrance was a fire pit enclosed with yellow clay. A middle-aged woman was sitting by the fire pit doing needlework, and behind her hid one of the children who had just been playing in the open area, looking somewhat timidly at Zhang Lei and Qin Dazhuang. "This is for you." Zhang Lei took out a handful of milk candies from his pocket and handed them over. The child took them and stuffed one into his mouth together with the wrapper, chewed a few times, and an expression of immense enjoyment appeared on his face. When he looked at Zhang Lei again, there was a little less wariness in his eyes and a little more closeness. Zhang Lei also learned the child's name from Lei Ao, Lei Xiaohu. He was the child born to Lei Ao and Lan Mei. Lei Ao handed the packet of salt to his wife, Lan Mei. "I'll go prepare the meal." Taking the salt packet, the middle-aged woman called Lan Mei excitedly walked toward the room next door. They, meanwhile, sat down around the fire pit to warm themselves and rest their feet. This fire pit was somewhat different from the ones in their village. It was built with earthen bricks and yellow clay, so it couldn't be moved. From the moment they opened their eyes in the morning until now, neither Zhang Lei nor Chun Dazhuang had had a moment to spare. Sitting around together now, warming themselves by the cozy fire pit, they couldn't have felt more comfortable. Through their conversation, Zhang Lei also learned that Lei Ao before him was the Shi ethnic chieftain of this village. When these Shi people fled here and built the village, they had also brought a lot of rice and vegetable seeds with them. So they also had the habit of growing rice and vegetables. On the back mountain of the village, there was cultivated land they had reclaimed. However, the rice varieties had not been improved, so the yield was very average. Besides that, their village also raised pigs, cattle, and sheep. The most numerous were goats, because of their short growth cycle, fast reproduction, and high survival rate. And now the entire village had nearly 200 goats. Hearing this, Zhang Lei was practically salivating. This really was a treasure village. "Zhang Lei, my good friend, you brought me precious salt, and I don't even know how to thank you." Lei Ao looked at him gratefully. "If you want to thank me, just give me that." Zhang Lei smiled shyly, then raised his hand and pointed to the tiger skin under Lei Xiaohu's bottom. Zhang Lei didn't know how Lei Ao had managed to kill a tiger, but he knew that this tiger skin could fetch a good price at the purchasing station. "You only want this?" Lei Ao was a little surprised. This tiger skin was from when his father was still the chieftain, shot dead with a rifle. Later, when his son Lei Xiaohu was born, it had always been used as Lei Xiaohu's swaddling blanket. Lei Ao knew this thing was worth a lot outside, but they couldn't freely contact the outside world. So this tiger skin was like chicken ribs to them. He hadn't expected that this guest from afar had brought them the salt most scarce in the village, yet in exchange wanted only a tiger skin that was useless to him. Thinking of this, Lei Ao tightly gripped the hands of Zhang Lei and Qin Dazhuang. "From now on, you two are my best friends, and also, this village's friends forever." Qin Dazhuang was a little bewildered. How had they become best friends just from chatting? Not long after, Lan Mei came out carrying a whole cooked sheep. That's right, a whole sheep, because the sheep's head was placed right beside the plate. Time to eat. Lan Mei went in and out several times carrying dishes before finally finishing, and the table by the fire pit was soon filled with quite a few delicacies. Placed in the middle was that whole sheep, with a small bowl of dried chili powder and a small bowl of salt beside it. In several bamboo bowls nearby were, respectively, stir-fried sheep offal with dried chili, stir-fried mustard greens, and plain boiled potatoes, while the wooden bucket to the side held fragrant rice. The people of this village do not go down the mountain, so the utensils for holding food were generally also made of bamboo. Seeing such an abundant spread of food, Zhang Lei and Chun Dazhuang couldn't help but swallow their saliva. At the warm invitation of Lei Ao's family, Zhang Lei and Chun Dazhuang did not stand on ceremony and began eating heartily. After the meal, Zhang Lei and Chun Dazhuang left this village. Except that in addition to that tiger skin, Chen Dazhuang's back basket now also held a sheep that had just breathed its last. Lei Ao had personally gone to the sheep pen, caught it, slaughtered it, and given it to Zhang Lei. Because he felt that his friend Zhang Lei was too sincere with him, and giving him a useless tiger skin made him feel truly uneasy in his conscience. Brother Lei, you're amazing. Chen Dazhuang lifted the bottom of the bamboo basket upward a bit. Other people don't even dare go near this village. Not only were you not afraid, you even traded for a tiger skin and a sheep. Dazhuang, you need to remember one principle. Rumors are always just rumors. You can only understand the truth of anything after experiencing it yourself. Zhang Lei smiled, then looked at him with a serious expression. What happened today is our secret. Don't tell anyone. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. I won't even tell my dad. Chen Dazhuang promised seriously. Instead of taking Chen Dazhuang straight down the mountain, Zhang Lei headed toward the bamboo forest opposite the village. Things look closer than they really are, but it was actually quite difficult to walk there. It took the two of them nearly an hour to reach the bamboo forest. After arriving, Zhang Lei did not look for winter bamboo shoots, but instead directly followed the route he had taken up the mountain yesterday back. Yesterday, Zhang Lei had set quite a few slipknot traps along this path, but had only caught one wild rabbit. Today he wanted to check them again and see if there were any unexpected gains. This time did not disappoint him. Out of 15 slipknot traps, 13 had been triggered. Aside from 2 traps from which wild rabbits or other animals had broken free, the remaining 11 traps all had catches. One of the traps had even caught a pheasant. The pheasant, also called a pheasant, is a fairly common bird in the mountains of southern Jiangxi. Zhang Lei tied up the rabbits and that one pheasant with white string, slung them over his shoulder, and continued down the mountain. Lei Ji, today's haul is pretty big. Are we going to the county to sell them now? Let's go back now and talk about it tomorrow. Zhang Lei shook his head. It's getting late. If we go to the county town now, we'll have to walk back at night later. And if we're gone too long, our family will worry too. All right. Seeing that Zhang Lei had made up his mind, Chen Dazhuang nodded and followed behind him. After more than an hour of traveling, the two finally returned to the village. Zhang Lei, where did you get so much game from? Oh wow, there's even a goat. Lu Hao popped out from who knew where and blocked the two of them. Haozi, why are you blocking our way? Chen Dazhuang was a little unhappy. Idiot Zhuang, I wasn't talking to you. Get aside. Lu Hao glanced at Chen Dazhuang with a look of disgust. Lu Hao's mother and Chen Dazhuang's mother were actually blood sisters. In other words, the two of them were cousins. But Lu Hao never mentioned this relationship in the village, because he looked down on Chen Dazhuang, and also looked down on Chen Dazhuang's mother, his aunt. Lu Hao, these wild rabbits and pheasant were caught in the mountains. We picked up this dead goat in the mountains. And if you've got the ability, go up the mountain and get your own. Zhang Lei pointed at Chen Dazhuang. His name is Chen Dazhuang. He's my brother, Zhang Lei's brother. Half of this game is his, so show him some respect. Chen Dazhuang said nothing. He moved closer to Zhang Lei and straightened his chest. Lu Hao was notorious in the village for being lazy and freeloading, with the nickname Village Bum, just the same sort as Zhao Laosan. Zhang Lei, Lei Ji, were on such good terms. Lu Hao's expression did not change. He still walked up with a grin. You can't possibly finish all this game, so let me help you take care of 2 of them. As he spoke, he reached out to take them. Get the hell away from me. I worked hard to bring back this game, so don't you come near it. Zhang Lei was not about to indulge his bad habit, and fiercely slapped his paw away. Dazhuang, let's go. Okay, Lei Ji. Chen Dazhuang imitated the way Lu Hao had looked earlier and gave him a sidelong glance. Bah, what's there to be so smug about? Watching the two walk away, Lu Hao viciously spat a thick gob of phlegm onto the ground. I don't believe it. If you, Zhang Lei, can get so much game, then I, Lu Hao, can't? But he was truly a bit puzzled. This bookworm used to keep quiet all the time, so why did it now feel like he had become a completely different person? After dealing with the nuisance Lu Hao, Zhang Lei then took Chen Dazhuang back to the main hall of the Zhang family home. As the two of them laid everything from the bamboo basket onto the floor, waves of exclamations rose in the hall. Today, Zhang Lei wanted to tell his father that even if he didn't go to technical secondary school and didn't get a state job, he could still make the family's life better and better. Didn't you and Dazhuang go to the county to sell bamboo shoots? Zhang Jingguo was so shocked that he could barely speak. Why you? Where did you and Dazhuang get so many wild rabbits and pheasants? And even a butchered mountain goat? Ever since Zhang Lei started junior high school, he had spent most of his holidays in his bedroom reading and preparing for the technical secondary school entrance exams. Only when Chen Dazhuang came to see him would Zhang Lei go out and play for a while. He knew very well what his own son and Chun Dazhuang were capable of. Catching a few small fish in the rice paddies during summer was one thing. But when it came to the skills needed for hunting in the mountains, they knew absolutely nothing. Yet now, Zhang Lei had taken Chun Dazhuang out once and brought back so much game, which he simply couldn't understand. Li Xiuyan, standing to one side, didn't think that much about it and was already wondering how to cook all the game in front of her. Dad, the wild rabbits and pheasants were caught in slipknot traps I set up while digging winter bamboo shoots in the mountains yesterday. The mountain goat had frozen to death in the mountains, and since it was still fresh, we brought it back. Since when did you know how to make slipknot traps? I have a classmate who grew up in the mountains and is very good at hunting. He taught me. Then what about this? Was this also caught using the hunting skills he taught you? Zhang Jingguo pulled the tiger's skin out of the bamboo basket, his face full of shock. Whoa, what a scary big tiger. His younger sister, Zhang Xiaohua, burst into tears, frightened by the tiger head right in front of her. Li Xiuyan hurriedly pulled her into her arms and shot her husband a somewhat reproachful look. Zhang Yang was braver. He cautiously reached out and touched the tiger's skin on its rump, and seeing that there was no danger, edged a little closer. We traded winter bamboo shoots with mountain hunters for this tiger's skin, Zhang Lei said without changing expression, then turned to look aside. Dazhuang, right? The Shi ethnic village deep in the mountains of Jigong Ridge could not be exposed, at least not now. Why yes. When Zhang Lei looked over at him, a trace of panic flashed across Chun Dazhuang's face. Zhang Jingguo knew the two were hiding something from him, and sighed. Zhang Lei, I don't care where these things came from, but I only have one thing to say. You must hold the mountains in awe. Although large ferocious beasts like tigers and brown bears are rarely seen in the mountains of southern Jiangxi, fierce animals like wild boars, clouded leopards, and wildcats are not uncommon. My right leg is the best proof of that. Whenever you go into the mountains, you must put safety first. Zhang Lei, your father is right. You must pay attention to safety when going into the mountains. As long as people are safe, that's what matters most. And Dazhuang, the same goes for you. Li Xiuyan also chimed in from the side. Zhang Lei and Chun Dazhuang both nodded with serious expressions and made their promises. Mom and Dad, we've scraped together the money from selling things in the county these past 2 days to cover my younger brother's fine. I'm going to find Captain Su and pay it. Zhang Lei reminded him. Dazhuang, later remember to take 5 wild rabbits and half a mountain goat back with you. Go to bed early tonight. Tomorrow morning, we'll make another trip to the county. Oh, and when handling the wild rabbits, keep the skins. We'll take them to sell tomorrow too. Zhang Lei thought to himself that rabbit skins could sell for 3 yuan each at the purchasing station, so they couldn't be wasted. After giving his instructions, Zhang Lei carried 2 rabbits and headed towards Su Jianjun's house. It was too troublesome to keep using a bamboo basket to carry winter bamboo shoots. He wanted to get a more labor-saving tool. Su Jianjun's family was much better off than Zhang Lei's, and their house was not a mud brick house. Instead, it was built with red bricks fired in a kiln, and even the roof was covered with brand new tiles. When Zhang Lei entered, Su Jianjun was warming himself by the fire pit in the main room, holding an enamel mug in his hand. Zhang Lei, you came to see me for something? Su Jianjun glanced at the wild rabbit in his hand, his brows slightly furrowing. A 20 yuan fine is already me going easy on you. Zhang Lei didn't waste words. He pulled bills out of his pocket, counted out 20 yuan, and handed it over. Captain Su, I came to pay the fine for my younger brother. Your dad gave you the money? He told you to come pay the fine? No, I earned this money over the past 2 days. Zhang Lei shook his head. You've got a pretty sharp mind, kid. Su Jianjun took the money. Tomorrow I'll have the team accountant issue you a receipt. Su Jianjun was only handling this fine in passing. In the end, it still had to be turned over to the production team's accountant and entered into the production team's public account. After settling Zhang Yang's fine, Zhang Lei brought up the other reason he had come here. Captain Su, I'd like to borrow the team's ox cart tomorrow. The 2 wild rabbits in his hands were also quietly placed by Su Jianjun's feet. Whether going to the county these past 2 days or to Jigong Ridge, Zhang Lei and Chun Dazhuang had been walking with bamboo baskets on their backs, which was not only inefficient but also exhausting. Their team didn't have a horse cart, but it did have 2 ox carts, usually used for plowing fields and hauling harvested grain back from the fields. 100 kilometers, 2 bundles of feed. It was winter now, the slack farming season, so the ox cart would just be sitting there anyway. Zhang Lei figured he'd borrow it to save some effort and improve efficiency. Perhaps Su Jianjun felt that he had been a bit too harsh and unfeeling in how he handled Zhang Yang back then, so this time Zhang Lei's request to borrow the ox cart went fairly smoothly. Of course, It was also possible that the two wild rabbits had played a role. Still, according to the production brigade's rules, Zhang Lei had to pay 1 yuan a day to borrow the ox cart. After working hard from dawn to dusk for 2 days, he was back to square one in a single stroke. But with Zhang Yang's fine fully paid, Zhang Lei still felt much more at ease. Early the next morning, Zhang Lei woke groggily from sleep, feeling that he had slept unusually soundly. He turned his head toward the fire pit not far from the bed and found that the firewood inside was still burning brightly. Only then did Zhang Lei understand why he hadn't been woken by the cold today. His mother, Li Xiuyan, must have quietly come in during the latter half of the night to add more firewood for him. Otherwise, the fire in the pit should have gone out by now. This plain and unadorned, yet incomparably great maternal love. Rubbing his hands and feet, Zhang Lei briskly climbed out of bed. After getting dressed, he carried the brazier into the main room. The brazier was only kept in the room at night. During the day, it usually wasn't, because some firewood would spit sparks everywhere when burning. With no one in the room during the day, it could easily cause a fire. "Brother Lei, you're awake." As soon as he came out, he saw Chun Dazhuang sitting by the fire pit, grinning foolishly at him. "You're up this early?" Zhang Lei said, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Through the window above the main door, the sky outside was only just beginning to brighten. "Didn't you tell me to come find you early?" Chun Dazhuang scratched his head, looking utterly honest and simple. After washing up, Zhang Lei learned that Chun Dazhuang hadn't eaten breakfast, so he took him over to the stove. Before Zhang Lei came back, the family didn't make breakfast in winter. But because Zhang Lei kept bringing game home, the family wasn't as short on food. After Li Xiuyan and Zhang Jingguo discussed it, they started having this morning meal again. After breakfast, Zhang Lei went to the storage room and took out 2 bamboo baskets. In the bottom basket was the tiger's skin, covered on top with rabbit pelts, and the other basket was stacked on top. Better safe than sorry. The road to the county wasn't as peaceful as imagined. After making sure they had brought everything they needed, Zhang Lei led Chun Dazhuang to the production team's cowshed. The man in charge of raising the cattle was called Old Guotu, a bachelor in his 50s whose mind wasn't very sharp. He couldn't do field work, so Su Jianjun assigned him the job of tending the cattle, which let him earn a few work points and barely support himself. Zhang Lei handed him the note Su Jianjun had written and pulled a few milk candies from his pocket and stuffed them into his hand. So Old Guotu, beaming with smiles, brought him the ox cart with the best endurance, and even put a bundle of fodder on the cart for them. In the countryside at that time, milk candy was a rare luxury for 99.9% of people. It wasn't just children who liked it, adults liked it too. Rural life was already hard enough. Who wouldn't want something sweet? After thanking him, Zhang Lei had Chun Dazhuang put the back basket and the hose onto the ox cart, and then the two of them got on as well and headed toward Jigong Ridge. "Brother Lei, how did you borrow this ox cart from Captain Su?" Chun Dazhuang asked curiously. "I borrowed it when I went to pay my younger brother's fine yesterday. 1 yuan a day?" Zhang Lei tugged on the reins to correct their direction. "Isn't it because I saw you panting every day with that bamboo basket on your back, looking worn out? With an ox cart, you'll have it much easier too. Brother Lei, you're so good to me. Back off a little, don't get gay with me." "What's getting gay?" The ox cart looked like it was moving at a leisurely pace, but it was still quite a bit faster than walking. What had originally been a trip of more than an hour took less than an hour with the help of the ox cart to reach the area of Jigong Ridge. Zhang Lei planned to first go to the bamboo grove from before and dig up a cartload of winter bamboo shoots to haul to the county town, and sell them together with the tiger skin and rabbit skins in the bamboo basket. It had probably snowed lightly again after midnight yesterday, covering the mountain path they had taken before completely. So Zhang Lei carefully drove the ox cart along the mountain path toward the bamboo grove, following it from memory. Beside him, Dazhuang took the initiative to get off the cart and walked ahead with a hoe to scout the way, afraid the ox cart might sink into a pit. After some time, the two of them finally reached the bamboo grove without incident. Zhang Lei tied the ox cart's reins to a mozo bamboo as thick as an arm, then took a bundle of fodder down from the cart and placed it in front of the yellow ox. When a vehicle runs out of fuel, you refill it. When an ox gets tired, you feed it grass. It's more filling than fuel and environmentally friendly too. Only after seeing the yellow ox quietly eating the fodder in front of it did Zhang Lei call Chun Dazhuang over to start digging winter bamboo shoots. This time Zhang Lei hadn't brought a sickle, but had brought 2 hoes instead. 1 hoe each, and they got right to work, huffing and puffing. With their previous experience digging winter bamboo shoots, plus the help of 2 hoes, the two of them worked very efficiently. In less than an hour, the ox cart was already piled with quite a few winter bamboo shoots, and every one of them looked good. Zhang Lei wiped the fine sweat from his forehead and grabbed a handful of clean snow and stuffed it into his mouth to quench his thirst. Then, after a brief rest, continued toward the next spot for winter bamboo shoots. Chen Dazhuang, meanwhile, was like a tireless machine, not resting at all and keeping his head down as he dug. Zhang Lei also urged him to take a short break, but each time Chen Dazhuang only gave a simple, goofy grin and said he wasn't tired. Seeing this, Zhang Lei had no choice but to let it go. Another hour passed, and the ox cart was already full of winter bamboo shoots. Zhang Lei estimated there had to be 200 to 300 jin. Thinking of the purchasing station's price of 0.25 yuan per jin for winter bamboo shoots, he grew a little excited. Looking at Chen Dazhuang beside him, still working with his head down, Zhang Lei called out, "Dazhuang, stop digging. If you dig any more, our ox cart won't be able to hold it." Chen Dazhuang looked at the pile of winter bamboo shoots on the cart, heaped up like a small mountain. Only then did he stop what he was doing. "Brother Lei, are we going to the county now?" Catch your breath a bit, and we'll head down the mountain to the county in a little while." Zhang Lei nodded. After a brief adjustment, they prepared to head down the mountain. Because the downhill path was steep, Zhang Lei had originally planned to have Chen Dazhuang drive the ox cart while he stayed behind it to steady the winter bamboo shoots. The two of them had worked so hard to dig them up, it would be a pity if they spilled. But Chen Dazhuang absolutely refused. In the end, Zhang Lei still drove the ox cart, while Chen Dazhuang stayed behind to steady the winter bamboo shoots. However, after they got down the mountain, the road became flatter. So Zhang Lei immediately had Dazhuang get on the ox cart to rest, while he drove the ox cart toward the county seat. After arriving in the county town, Zhang Lei's ox cart attracted quite a bit of attention from passers-by, especially after they saw the winter bamboo shoots on the cart. A few people slowly came closer, afraid that passers-by might secretly take the winter bamboo shoots from the cart. Chen Dazhuang jumped straight off the cart and walked alongside it, watching the surrounding passers-by with wary eyes. In his previous life, Zhang Lei had seen on the roadside fruit vendors pedaling their tricycles hard up front, while pedestrians behind them secretly took fruit from the tricycles. It now seemed that people with corrupted morals and low character existed in every era. Zhang Lei mentally gave the cautious Chen Dazhuang a thumbs up, lightly tugged the reins, and drove the ox cart a little faster. After arriving at the purchasing station, Zhang Lei had Chen Dazhuang watch the ox cart, while he carried a winter bamboo shoot in his hand and walked in. When he saw that it was Yang Aijuan behind the counter, he breathed a sigh of relief. "Comrade, do you remember me?" "Of course I do. Aren't you the young comrade who sold me winter bamboo shoots yesterday?" Yang Aijuan smiled. "By the way, if you catch wild rabbits again, you can bring the pelts over. And if they're the same quality as the previous one, I'll buy them all at 3 yuan apiece. I brought some wild rabbit pelts too. But today we're mainly here to sell this," Zhang Lei said with a smile, raising the winter bamboo shoot in his hand. Yang Aijuan took it and examined it, then replied with a smile, "Good quality. Then same as yesterday. I'll buy them at 0.25 yuan per jin. How much do you have?" Zhang Lei held up one finger. "Just this one?" Not understanding what he meant, Yang Aijuan weighed the winter bamboo shoot in his hand and frowned slightly. "This winter bamboo shoot is probably 3 or 4 jin. I can still take it and send it to the small cafeteria of the government office later. Not one, a whole cart." Realizing that Yang Aijuan had misunderstood what he meant, Zhang Lei smiled somewhat apologetically. "A whole cart?" Yang Aijuan looked shocked. "Right outside." Zhang Lei nodded. Still unconvinced, Yang Aijuan followed Zhang Lei to the doorway. And when he saw the mountain-like pile of winter bamboo shoots on the ox cart, he was completely dumbfounded. "You just dug all these out of the mountains?" Yang Aijuan asked. "Yes, they were all just dug up. I borrowed the ox cart from the production team." Zhang Lei nodded honestly. "All right, bring them in and weigh them. I'll take them all." Yang Aijuan was secretly delighted. The winter bamboo shoots he had bought from Zhang Lei last time had been sold to a small work unit, and the response had been very good. With this many winter bamboo shoots this time, he could probably supply several units. Chen Dazhuang still stayed outside watching the ox cart, while Zhang Lei used a bamboo basket to carry the winter bamboo shoots off the cart. It took 4 trips before he finally finished. After weighing them on the platform scale, it came to just over 300 jin.